All right, so if there's no more questions, today we're going to cover the second half of section, I think it's 7.3, isn't it? All right, and the first topic is going to be long division. Long division. You guys remember 5th grade? Back when you had no worries. I remember 5th grade. Yeah, I had sister Anita in 5th grade. She was, and as a 5th grader, I'm thinking she was really, really old, which I think she was. I think she was up in her 60s and 70s, and I know halfway through the year she had a nervous breakdown, so she had to go to the hospital. And so as 5th graders, we're all, pretty proud of ourselves because we thought we drove her to the nut house there, but I don't know. You guys remember doing long division, and 34 goes into 65 once, and then what did you do? Well, then you multiply 1 times 34 to get 34, and then we subtracted. I know you all did that. Okay. And then when you subtract, and then 6 minus 3, and then what do you do after that? Bring down the next number, yeah. So we don't use it much, but that's what long division is. And then 34 goes into 317. Oh, we're thinking, is it 9? We're guessing at 9, so 9 times 4 is 36, and 9 times 3 is 27, plus the 3 is 30, and we subtract it again. And we got 11. Bring down the next number, and then that would be 3, I believe. And 3 times 4 is 12. Carry the 1, 3 times 3 is 9, and so we have a remainder of, and bring down the next number, and it looks like that's only going to go in there twice, and 2 times 34 is 68, and what is this last number here?
33.
I know, but what is that? 33. It is the remainder, and sometimes we wrote remainder 33, and sometimes we did that. Okay? Well, when we can do long division with polynomials as well, right? For example, well, let's take a problem x squared plus 4x plus 4 divided by x plus 2. And we're going to use long division. I'm going to do about 2 or 3 of these examples. So inside, I'm going to put the x squared plus 4x plus 4. And I'll put my divisor, which is x plus 2. We put that on the outside. And the vocab is a little bit different. So what do I have to multiply x by to get x squared? X. Okay? And that's it. That's the only vocab that's different. And so x times x, x squared. X times 2, 2x. And then just like in our long division, we subtract. And notice I use parentheses. So that x squared minus x squared is 0. 4x minus 2x is 2x. And then what do we do in our example over here? Bring down the next number. And what do we're just looking at this first term of x here. What do I have to multiply the x by to get 2x? 2. Positive 2. And then I multiply. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 2 is 4. And I subtract. And I get 0. And I have no more numbers to bring down. So my remainder is 0. And what that means is that x plus 2 is a factor, because if it goes in evenly with no remainder, then it's a factor. Okay? Let's do another one. Let's take x to the fourth minus 2x cubed. I'm hoping this works out. I'm not sure, but I'm hoping this does. Plus 5x squared plus 6x minus 3. And we're going to divide that by x minus 4. All right? Now, is that going to be a factor? I don't know. So let's see. I've got x to the fourth minus 2x cubed plus 5x squared plus 6x minus 3 divided by x minus 4. Okay, so follow along. What do I have to multiply the x by to get x to the fourth? X cubed. Okay? Because when I do that, I have x cubed. Now I'm going to have to multiply. X cubed times x is x to the fourth. So they have to line up, and they have to be the exact. The first terms have to be exact. They're x to the fourth, x to the fourth. And then x cubed minus 4 is negative 4x cubed. And like I did before, I subtract. X to the fourth minus x to the fourth is 0. Negative 2x cubed. Do you see why I use parentheses? Negative 2x cubed minus a negative 4x cubed would give me positive 2x cubed, and bring down the next term. And what do I have to multiply the x by to get 2x cubed? 2x squared. I'll put that up here. 2x squared times x is 2x cubed, and 2x squared times negative, negative 4, negative 8x squared. And I put parentheses and subtract. 2x cubed minus 2x cubed is 0. 5x squared minus a negative 8x squared is a positive 13x squared. Bring down the next term, which is 6x. What do I have to multiply x by to get 13x squared? 13x. 13x times x is 13x squared. And 13x times negative 4 is negative 52x. Put parentheses and subtract. The 13x squares cancel. 6x minus a negative 52x gives me a positive 58x. And bring down that last term of negative 3. And what do I have to multiply the x by to get 58x? 58. You think we're going to have a remainder? Yes. It looks like it. 58 times x is 58x. And 58 times negative 4 is 232, I believe. Negative. I believe that's correct. And put parentheses and subtract. Negative 3 minus a negative 232 is a positive 229. And that is my remainder. And we'll just go up here and put remainder 229. Okay? I'm going to do one more here. Let's do let's do x cubed plus 3x squared minus 15 divided by x squared minus 2x minus 3. Do we think that's a factor? If it's a factor, our remainder is going to be 0. Okay, so let's check it out. Let's see. Inside, I'm going to have x cubed plus 3x squared. I don't have an x term, do I? I'm going to have to add one. You'll see why as I go through the problem. Okay? But I'm going to add one, and I'm going to put a 0x. Because that's going to be 0 no matter what x is, correct? Yes. But I have to add that, and you'll see why. And then I'll put the negative 15. And I want to divide by x squared minus 2x minus 3. And this one actually is a little bit easier than the first one. What do I have to multiply the x squared by to get x cubed? X. And multiply. X times x squared is x cubed. X times negative 2x is negative 2x squared. And x times negative 3 is negative 3x. And now do you see why I had to add the 0x? So everything will line up correctly. Okay, see that, Emma? And I put parentheses and subtract. The x cubes will cancel out. I have 3x squared minus a negative 2x squared gives me 5x squared. And a 0x minus a negative 3x gives me a positive 3x. And I'll bring down the negative 15. And what do I have to multiply the x squared by to get 5x squared? 5. So this is a little bit easier. 5 times x squared is 5x squared. We just have to worry about that first term. Everything else will fall into place. And 5 times negative 2x is negative 10x. And 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. And we subtract. Well, the 5x squares will cancel. I have 3x minus a negative 10x gives me 13x. And 15 minus a negative 15 is 0. What can I multiply x squared by to get 13x? Nothing. 13x now is my remainder. So my remainder in this case is 13x. Long division. Okay? All right. So I want to take an easy problem here. X cubed minus 2x squared plus 3. And I want to divide it by x plus, let's say x plus 3. All right. And I'll do this. And this should be fairly quick for you. X cubed minus 2x squared. I don't have an x term, so I got to put 0x. And then plus 3. What I have to multiply here is by x squared. X squared times x is x cubed. X squared times 3 is 3x squared. And subtract. The x cubes will cancel. I have negative 5x squared. Bring down the 0x. I have to multiply x by negative 5x. Negative 5x times x is negative 5x squared. Negative 5x times 3 is a negative 15x. And I subtract. And the 5x squares cancel. 0x minus a negative 15x is 15x. And I'll bring down the last term of 3. And I've got to multiply, what do I have to multiply x by to get 15x? 15 times x is 15x. And 15 times 3 is 45. And I subtract. Please use parentheses. And 3 minus 45 is negative 42. And I want you to remember this problem. I wanted to do this problem for you, and I want you to remember. That's long division. It's one way that allows us to do some factoring. All right? And now, I don't think that was particularly hard. I think you guys will get through it fairly quick. Now we have something called synthetic division, which students really like. And when I do the first example, you're going to be confused. And after the first example, you're going to say, yeah, this is really easy. Why can't we just do that instead of long division? But we have rules. So let's take x squared plus 7x, let's say minus 30. And I want to divide by x minus 3. All right? Synthetic division. We're not going to use long division here. Is that a factor? Well, what I want you to do on your paper is put kind of a backward L. It's going to be a shelf. Okay. And what I want you to do is put in the 0 of the divisor, x minus 3. If x minus 3 is a factor, what's a 0? 3. And that's what we're going to put here. All we're going to use is coefficients. Then I'm going to put the coefficients of the dividend, it's called. So we'll put 1, 7, and negative 30. And I'm going to put a line underneath it. And this, you will not need your calculator for this entire lesson today. Bring down the first number, 1. Then I multiply. 3 times 1 is 3. Add coming down. 7 plus 3 is 10. Then multiply. 3 times 10 is 30. I put it up here. I add coming down. That last number is my remainder. So then I have, what does the 1 stand for? We started with x squared. So now this is just 1x plus 10. And my remainder is 0. And what that means is, if I multiplied x minus 3 times my answer here of x plus 10, I will get x squared plus 7x minus 30. Synthetic division. We use this a lot because it's an easy way. Okay. Let's try another one. I want you to remember this problem here. Don, did you write this problem down? Okay, so you're going to give me this problem later on. All right. So let's take some examples here. Let's take x to the 4th plus 3x cubed minus 6x squared minus 5x plus 2. And let's divide it by x plus 5. Okay? Let's see if that's a factor. What do I put in the shelf? Negative 5. Put in the 0. And then I'm going to put the coefficients. 1, 3, negative 6, negative 5, and 2. I'll draw a line underneath. You guys will get very quick with this. Bring down the first number, and then multiply. Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. Add coming down. 3 plus negative 5 is negative 2. Then multiply. Negative 5 times negative 2 is 10. Add coming down. We get 4. Negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. Add coming down. Negative 25. Negative 5 times negative 25 is 125, positive. Add coming down. The last number is my remainder. Doug? Oh, 127. Sorry. 127. Now let me just try that again. Okay, and that last number is my remainder. Now let's take, what do these numbers mean? 1, negative 2, 4, and negative 25. The 1 stands for 1x to the third, always 1 degree less than what we started with, minus 2x squared, it's all descending order, plus 4x minus 25. Isn't that easier than long division? Yeah. We can only use synthetic division if my divisor is linear and the coefficient is 1. So we're limited on when we can use synthetic division. Now, I want you to take your calculator, and those of you at home, take your calculator, and I want you to put in, take this x to the 4th plus 3x cubed minus 6x squared minus 5x plus 2, and I want you to put in negative 5 in for x. Just do that for me, and I want you to tell me what the result is. Read.
So you don't do anything with the remainder?
You don't do anything with the remainder. I mean, all you do here, you have your remainder of 127.
Okay.
Did you guys put in negative 5 in for x? Oh my gosh. Julie, what did we get?
127.
127. And I can tell you this, everybody in this room, and those of you at home, will be able to, if you have a, let's say we have x to the third minus 2x squared minus 7x plus 6, and let's say that's a polynomial. Let's say it's some polynomial, p of x equals. And the directions say find p of negative 4. Yeah, we can put in negative 4 for x. But you're going to have a section in your homework where it's going to say use synthetic division. So, okay, we'll put in negative 4. We'll go 1, negative 2, negative 7, and 6. Bring down the first number. Multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. So if I put in negative 4, I'm going to get negative 62. And that's faster than some of you guys can put it in your calculator. And you'll be able to do this quicker. Okay? Would you ever do that? I don't know. But they want you to practice with that. Okay, so you have a section on your homework. Dominic.
Yes.
There's one problem I asked you to do. What was it?
X to the third minus 2x squared plus 3 divided by x plus 3.
X plus 3. Okay, and we're going to use synthetic division because I want you to make sure that you look for this particular strategy. What are we going to put on the shelf? Negative 3. Then we have 1, negative 2. No. 0. I don't have an x term. So I have to have that 0 there. You have to. And then 3. Okay? So I have 1. Multiply negative 3 times 1. Add coming down. Negative 3 times negative 5 is 15. Add coming down. Negative 3 times 15 is negative 45. Add coming down. Negative 42 is your remainder. And this becomes x squared minus 5x plus 15. And my remainder is negative 42, which is what I got on that other problem, isn't it? Yes. And if I inserted negative 3 in for x, I would get negative 42. But don't forget, if there's no x term here, put a 0. This has to go down in descending order, that top line. Okay? I've changed the homework up a little bit. And we did 14 through 60. Oh, that was yesterday's homework. Today, I'm going to change it, and we're only going to do 62 through 102. We're going to do the even problems only. And this is on page 446 and 447. And plus, I want you to do 101. So instead of doing all those problems, we'll just do the even ones plus 101. Okay? And that's your lesson.